Okay, so this is step 2. We're going to mark the outline of the CO2 car and mark the axle holes. I think I need to clean my camera a little. Is that better? That's a little better. Let's see here. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to cut the actual outline of the CO2 car. It's really important that you don't cut off too much material from the around the CO2 chamber. The limit is 3 millimeters, but a lot of your designs are exactly 3 millimeters, and that doesn't give you enough room to sand off anything or smooth anything out. Because every time you sand, it doesn't just smooth it, it actually removes material. So you need to make sure you give yourself plenty of room around the CO2 chamber. So notice around my CO2 chamber, I gave at least like 5 or 6 millimeters on either side, and that gives me lots of room for sanding. Okay, and I'm just gonna cut around the rest. So you can cut while I'm cutting. You go ahead and cut. And you can hear all the kids playing outside on the playground while I am doing this. So I apologize for the extra noise. But I am a school teacher, so it happens. Okay, so now that is a very itty bitty piece of paper. Okay, so now I also have to mark the axle holes, and what I'm going to do is use my very sharp pencil to just pierce the template right at the center where my axle holes are located. Okay, and really technical way to do that. Roll that over, so, and then we're going to line up the CO2 chamber. So that's why we put the CO2 chamber on. Otherwise, I wouldn't know where this was located. Okay, so I can set that CO2 chamber there where I know that's where it goes. Line up the bottom edge. Okay, hold that in place. And now here's the tricky bit. You have to hold it in place while you trace. So I use one hand to hold while I use the other hand to trace. So I'm using my left hand to hold because I'm right-handed, and my wrist to hold this down. Hold on, I'm gonna close the window. Here we go. It's a little quieter, and I'm just gonna finish tracing the rest of my outline. Try to do your best to make sure it stays in place. So I'm holding it down with my wrist, right, and my left hand while I trace. If you're left-handed, you would hold it down with your right hand and your left wrist. The most important thing to make sure is that your CO2 chamber is always showing. Like if I accidentally move it, it's easy to line back up again. Just be careful. Take your time. Okay, and then I'm going to also, you notice my lines aren't perfect, right? My lines aren't perfect. Give yourself extra room. Okay, and then right where those holes were my axle holes, or I put those axle holes, I'm just gonna mark that there. Make sure the line that the dot goes through onto the actual block. So I'm actually just drawing really hard, and then I could see where I made the dent. You don't want to make a big circle. It's kind of important that you know exactly where the center of the hole is, because the hole is going to be quite a bit bigger than that. And you just need to make sure that you know exactly what the center of the hole is. Okay. And then we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing on this side, but notice this doesn't fit. So I'm going to flip it over so I see the blank side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Just trace around the hole. Okay, I'm going to pause here. You can trace the rest of it and make sure you locate the axle holes as well. Okay, so you can see I've traced the entire front view and the back view. So on the front and on the back should be the same on both sides. While I'm at it, I'm going to put my name and period, whatever. You either have me period 4 or 7, and then either A or B. Okay. All right, so we've got the front view, and now we're going to do the same thing with the top view. I am going to use my top view, and I'm going to cut out everything. So that's the next step. That's step 3. Okay. You can stop this video and go to the third video.